About a week ago, I received my honorary doctorate from a very prestigious institution, a very powerful and prestigious movement that's going across the globe. And one of the participants in the movement and the institution, really in everything, is Dr. Michael V. Roberts, uh, our third Black billionaire. And just in case you don't know, you may want to look him up and just look at his history as a business icon in America, but just in the Black community, period. Someone that needs to be studied more, someone that needs to be acknowledged more. We kind of go with the flavor of the month. It's the newer billionaires and things like that. But he did some things during the earlier days, similar to what our brother Reginald Lewis is known for. Why should white guys have all the fun, and some of the deals that he was doing to acquire Beatrice Foods and all of that. Dr. Michael Roberts did some of those things with Sprint and cell towers. So some of the deals that he did, the hotels and all of that, it's something that should be studied. It should be a case study. I have an interview that I did with him earlier on called In My Conversations with Black Millionaires series. You can access that for free. Just go to themobnetwork.com and you can, access that interview. But I received a call from him. That's really the point. Matter of fact, here's the degree. So we got, I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah, so I'm very, very excited about that. But this degree, this honorary doctorate, it really did something to me. It resonated with me, not for the prestige and stature and all of those things, calling yourself doctor and all of that. That's fine and dandy. I truly appreciate that. I'm humbled again that Dr. Roberts thought or felt that I should be a part of really just an august body, a very diverse, powerful group of people who received their doctorate their honorary doctorate on that day. One being Ronnie DeVoe from New Edition and BBD. And I've always said that, me and some members of New Edition was going to share the stage one day. I just didn't know that we would both be receiving an honorary doctorate on the same day. So that's just one. We're going to keep trying to see if we can get on stage in some other ways together. But that was one of the great highlights of the event. But what led to this is that I was being acknowledged for my work of helping entrepreneurs and business owners, specifically Black entrepreneurs and business owners and professionals, to grow their businesses, to flourish with their ideas, to learn internet marketing, all of those different things that we've been doing for the past 20 years. But it really dawned on me because I've been tiptoeing around the subject for the past, I would say, 6 years. I've wanted to dive in, but the language really didn't resonate with our community. We really didn't know much about it, even though we've been a part of it for so long. So I've been tiptoeing around the subject. But when I received the honorary doctorate, when I received the call, something said, you have to go all in, head first into the subject, and you have to even raise the bar on how we talk about this. Because I always used to say, because this is straight out of notification of payment received. If you don't know, that's one of the ideas. So I'm going to start planting seeds now. One of the ideas that I had that helped me to build the company or the business that we were acknowledged for. And out of that, I talk about taking your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, your ideas, and packaging it into products and services that could be sold online. And that's palatable for a lot of people. You mean I can take my existing knowledge and experience, and that's a good marketing ploy. And it helps, right? Because most people don't get into it. But what this is called is intellectual property. And so I said, you know what? I got to dive in and elevate the conversation for our people because we're missing out. We're missing out on engaging in it fully and intentionally the way that we should be doing it. Because again, myself and probably others too, we're tiptoeing around the subject matter that is literally in business, probably the most important topic to be discussed amongst entrepreneurs and business owners, especially Black entrepreneurs and business owners, because we're leaving literally trillions and trillions of dollars on the table because we're not intentional about taking our ideas seriously and building around them. So we're in this era of AI. AI is IP. This is intellectual property. When we talk about Sam Altman and all of these individuals who are using this new technology or building off of the idea of artificial intelligence and building platform, this is why they're becoming millionaires and billionaires at a much greater clip than most of us, because we're not taking our ideas seriously and we're not packaging them and we're not protecting them, and then we're not trying to find ways to profit from them, these intangible assets, because again, we're stuck in old business models. We're still trying to make money or build companies the old-fashioned way, the way of factories and retail stores and all of this. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for that, but even that, if you notice all of again, the white guys that are having fun, if you notice, even when they're building their manufacturing, their retail, whatever it is, it's still attached. The foundation of it is the IP, it's the intellectual property. Now, I'm not saying that we're not engaging in it, because if you notice, some of our bigger stars are talking about it all the time. The one that I hear the most using the language, though, and he's probably the only one that I've heard use the language as much as he does, and that's Kevin Hart. So I got to give Kevin Hart credit. If you watch some of his interviews, the thing that he talks about is the IP, right? The intellectual property behind all of the things that he's done, the concerts, his production company, all of that, the ideas, the creativity, all of those intangibles that you don't necessarily see, but they manifest, on the screen, on the stage, on the tours. And so I have to give him credit. And again, that's why I was excited when and if you notice, you hear my voice, I'm getting excited again. It's just a subject matter that I'm extremely passionate and excited about, been extremely excited and passionate about it for the past 20 years, but haven't really found a way to say, you know what, let's just talk about it. And maybe that's my lack of experience, right? So it's taken up to this time and the receiving of the doctorate to say, you know what, Brother B, it's time for you to elevate the conversation, have more intentional conversations to help people to realize that the most important and most valuable things that they can utilize in their businesses, their companies, and their professions, in their lives, their careers, is their IP, right? It's not the physical things. And one of the insights that I'd like to share with you real quick on that, because I don't want this video to be long, I just wanted to kind of announce this, that I want you to take your ideas seriously as I'm beginning to take mine more seriously, very intentional about owning this property, right? There are people, again, in other communities who are literally saying that the most valuable property you can have is intellectual property. It's the property that is unlimited because it's always growing and evolving with new knowledge, new experience, new relationships. Whereas physical property, there's a limit to it, right? So of course, we always talk about building wealth with real estate, but as we're learning, the ones that we're watching, the trillion-dollar valuations and all of these different things that people are talking about with Elon Musk and Sam Altman and all of these different other companies that, again, they don't look like us. This is intellectual property. These are ideas. These are concepts that's being tested in the marketplace, that's being bounced around, that's being evolved, that's being worked on, that's being I don't want to use the term perfected, but it's moving towards perfection. And the more you move towards perfection, the more valuable these assets become. But my cry or my challenge, I guess it's been a challenge for me, is that I want to see more of us engaged in this. And this does require a new level of knowledge, a new level of sophistication, a new level of approaching our ideas, our business concepts. It does require us getting into the game with individuals who are serious about protecting their IP. I got some killer stories that I want to talk about in the future. And I'll just drop a couple names because two people, two entertainers that we talk about all the time, actually two of my favorite entertainers, and probably yours too, that we talk about all the time. If you notice, they begin to stir the pot or get into trouble and cause a lot of chaos when they begin to talk about intellectual property, when you start talking about copyrights and publishing. That's why I say I've been around this all my life in the music industry, and we talk about publishing and copyrights. But again, at that time, I didn't have an idea or concept of intellectual property, right? This is IP, right? That's not something we talk about, but it's something that they talk about. And this is why they want you to sign over your publishing and your copyrights. And Michael Jackson and Prince started entering into this space with major companies. And there's a lot of talk over the past years of, their fights and ultimately their deaths could be because of all of this intellectual property that they were engaging in. And Prince is famous for challenging any artist who wanted to do business with him. His question to them was, do you own your masters, right? If search the internet, all of them, from Nas and anybody who wanted to do a song or anything with Prince, he didn't want them or the companies to benefit from the IP. He would always ask, do you own your masters? And he started something that many say made him dangerous. And of course, Michael owned catalogs of the Beatles and other people with Sony, which made him very powerful and dangerous. But again, a lot of us have not delved into that world of intellectual property and owning those things. I'll talk about some of the artists, and I'll unpack this in future videos. If you notice, I believe it's even Nelly recently. When you own your materials, your IP, you can get loans against it, you can sell it. And if you notice, this is where he and, my brother that just passed away from Murder Inc., name is escaping me right now, where they would sell their publishing, right? It's really IP, intellectual property, and they would get money, or they can get it back at a different time, right? So they can sell it for a time, get 20, 30, 40 million dollars, and then it reverts back to them. This is all intellectual property. This is true wealth. And so I believe Nelly did a deal recently about $50 million, but that's because it's getting hot in here. And the songs that he did are very valuable. That's his IP. All of us have IP, all businesses, all of us have ideas and resources and experiences, frameworks, things that we do that if we take a moment and capture it, take ownership of it, package it, then protect it, learn how to protect it, to monetize it and profit from it, we would all have a more solid and stable business, a stronger business, a smarter business, and a more profitable business. So this is kind of like the mission that I'm on now for myself. And I want to help us to understand it. So I just wanted to read something real quick, just a quick insight, because I know I have a lot of friends, a lot of people who are definitely into the stock market and things like that, and to talk about valuations of companies and all of this type of stuff. But here's an insight of what's driving modern business value, just to kind of, this helps to kind of drive the point that I'm trying to make. I'm hoping that I'm being clear. I know I'm kind of excited right now because I've been holding this in. I said I didn't want to keep bombarding you after I got the the honorary doctorate and I made that announcement. Then we were kind of doing the bumps there because I just wanted to celebrate. And I said, well, man, I'm not going to keep emailing people. I'm not going to keep putting up the videos. But since that moment, this subject matter, I said, now's the time, brother B. You got to, it's time to put this out here and just go for it. And so that's why I'm extremely excited because now today is the day that I really popped the cork on probably, I don't want to say leading the charge, but definitely wanting to be a leader in this charge of helping us as entrepreneurs and business owners and professionals to take charge and ownership of our ideas and our stories and our IP and use that as a solid foundation for building the wealth and the legacies that we're so desirous of, but we're building our businesses and these things on sand. But here's a way to build it on a rock solid foundation, which is your IP. And so here's what's driving modern business value. And then I'll close this out. It says here 1975, and this is the source of this was cited in Harvard Business Review, Forbes. This is where I first heard the stories. I heard it on NPR. And again, this was years ago, and I was scratching my head on this because it's such a profound thought, I think. But let me just read it to you. In 1975, over 80% of the value of the S&P 500, again, for my people who invest in stocks and all of those things, the S&P 500 companies was in tangible assets. So 80% of the value of the S&P 500 companies, all of the companies combined, 80% of their value, and actually it was a little bit more than that, but I think it was like 83%, was tangible assets, factories, machines, inventory, and real estate. By 2020, which is, again, right when I said I wanted to start talking about this because I felt this shift and I was studying this shift, it said by 2020, that had flipped. Not just flipped, it didn't go equal flip. I mean, it went beyond the value that was there before. Over 90% of the value of the companies that are in the S&P 500 is now intangible assets, primarily intellectual property. Now, this includes patents, proprietary technology, of course, data. All of these things are IP. That's why I said we got to talk about this stuff. Brand equity, the business models or frameworks and all of those different things, the trade secrets, the software, content, as everybody's becoming content creators and having digital assets. This is where the value, over 90% of the value of the S&P 500 companies now is in intangible assets. It's no longer the factories. It's no longer the machines. Again, machines are becoming cheap, right? So it's 10% of the value. Our phones literally is cheap. It's not the phone. It's the IP that runs the phone. It's the applications. It's the well, I said it's the apps. It's the things that we utilize. It's the different tools that we utilize on our phone. It's the cameras. It's the whatever we're using. That's all intellectual property that other people are getting paid for. And we have to begin to get paid for this and have this conversation. And so I'll close this out. And I know this was kind of long-winded. I'll close it out because I'm excited. So this is like an announcement, and I'll sharpen up. So I'm not going to do another take and redo this. I just want to kind of get this out that you and I have to start taking our ideas, our stories, our experiences more serious. And here's the thing, the more serious we take our ideas, other people will begin to take us more serious, right? It's our businesses, our companies, our products, and our services are floundering because we're kind of half stepping into it, right? We're trying to get that money. I get it. We all doing it, trying to get that money. But as soon as we begin to take our ideas seriously and begin to craft messaging, packaging, protecting our intellectual property and leading with that, people will take a double take and look at us and say, you know what, I like what he or she is doing. I like what this company is all about, because it's no longer just a transaction of a widget, right? Some quick thing. Because if it's just a transaction of a widget, there's no value there. It's always going to be who has the cheapest widget, who has the cheapest pencil, who has the cheapest pen, whatever that is. But the IP that undergirds these products and services is going to be where the value is. And that's going to require us to up our game, because now we have to play in a space that's becoming more global in nature. IP is a big fight all over the world with China and all of these things. That's why I say this is trillions and trillions of dollars that our people just haven't entered into this arena to capitalize. Everybody's capitalizing off of our IP, our creations, our creativity. We give it away and others take it and they build extreme amounts of wealth and use us as a part of their IP when we should be capitalizing on that. So I'm going to sign off here, but you and I have to begin to take our ideas serious so that others will begin to take us more serious as we grow our businesses. And for some people, if you want big enterprise, because everybody want to scale, that's the big language. All of those things are possible when you have the proper foundation of intellectual property. So we'll unpack this. Again, I hope this is clear enough. If not, you let me know. Let me know your thoughts below the video. What's your thought on IP, intellectual property? How do you see it going in the near future, right? How digital assets? I mean, we're living in it. We're seeing it in this AI era. What are your thoughts on this? Because I don't want to make it seem like I won't be out here alone having, again, this is a conversation. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know, do you feel like your ideas have ever been stolen? Have you ever had an idea? Think about this. And I'll close with this. Have you ever had an idea and you didn't take it seriously? And then someone else did it and you say, they stole my, we'll say that quick. They stole my, even though they never met you, they stole my idea, right? Has that ever happened to you? You had a thought, you wanted to do something, didn't do it, didn't package it, didn't protect it, didn't work on it. Year, 2, 3 years, 4 years later, somebody else does it and it hits and you're like, wow. So let me know your thoughts below. This is your brother Bedford, and we own this train now, so you'll be hearing more about this, and we'll unpack this. And I'll come back with that. I know that was kind of my cliffhanger, talking about Prince and Michael Jackson, and there's so many others, man. I mean, we really going to unpack this thing to let us look at this thing properly about intellectual property and literally the millions and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars that's being produced and that's being taken by somebody else because we're ignoring the subject. This is your brother Bedford, and I'll talk to you in the very next video. And some of you are going to get tired of me talking about this IP stuff, but that's what I'm on right now. So this is your brother. Talk to you soon. Take care.